In a move that is already sending shockwaves across Africa's industrial and automotive circles, Ghana is fast-tracking its ambition to become a serious electric vehicle assembly hub in West Africa. And it is doing so with unmistakably Chinese muscle behind it. At a time when many African countries are still debating whether EVs are realistic for their roads and power grids, Accra is moving decisively, locking in partnerships with major Chinese automakers and quietly laying the groundwork for a future where cars are not just imported, but built locally. Is this the bold industrial leap Ghana has been waiting for, or another controversial flirtation with China's manufacturing juggernaut? The big news is that Ghana has now signed a memorandum of understanding with Shinshindu Jeco, a Chinese electric vehicle manufacturer, to establish an EV assembly plant in the country. This is not talk, and it is not a pilot. The Trade, Agribusiness, and Industry Minister revealed that the company is already on the ground in Ghana, has acquired land, and is far advanced in developing the factory, signaling that operations could begin sooner than many expected. In the same breath, the government also confirmed that discussions are ongoing with Chery International, one of China's largest automobile exporters, following engagements at the recent China-Africa summit. Those talks, still active and politically significant, point to a surge of global automaker interest in Ghana's emerging EV market. But why Ghana and why now? To understand the weight of this moment, one has to look at China's iron grip on the global automotive industry. China is now the world's largest auto exporter, shipping more than 7 million vehicles in 2025 alone. While EVs dominate headlines, most of the cars China exports are still petrol-powered, with over 4.3 million gasoline vehicles sent abroad last year. Ironically, this petrol surge is a direct consequence of China's aggressive EV push at home. Beijing heavily subsidized electric vehicles, triggering brutal price wars that squeezed legacy automakers out of the domestic market. Rather than shut down old factories, Chinese firms pivoted outward, flooding emerging markets with affordable, feature-packed vehicles. Companies like Chery, SAIC, Dongfeng, BAIC, and Changan, many of which once relied on joint ventures with Western giants, are now standing on their own. Chery alone sold 2.6 million vehicles globally in 2024, most of them petrol-powered, and it has emerged as China's top auto exporter. Add private firms like Geely and Great Wall, and the picture becomes clearer. China has massive overcapacity, with factories capable of producing up to 30 million combustion engine vehicles still sitting idle. Instead of wasting that capacity, Chinese automakers are exporting aggressively to markets where EV charging is limited and petrol still dominates daily life. Africa sits squarely in that target zone. Yet when it comes to electric vehicles, China's dominance is even more overwhelming. The country produces more than 70% of the world's EVs and batteries and captured roughly 62% of global EV sales in 2025. Brands like BYD, Geely, XPeng, NIO, and Li Auto are outpacing Tesla and traditional Western manufacturers through ruthless vertical integration, scale, and pricing. BYD's battery technology alone cuts costs by around 30%, allowing Chinese EVs to sell below the $20,000 mark, while still offering smart features that Western brands struggle to match. With Europe and the US tightening tariffs and regulations, emerging markets like Africa are becoming the new frontier. Is it any surprise that Ghana is suddenly in the spotlight? Indeed, this is precisely where countries like Ghana stand to gain the most, and where the debate gets interesting. As European and Japanese automakers wrestle with rising production costs, strict environmental rules, and expensive supply chains, Chinese manufacturers are stepping in with vehicles that are not only cheaper, but increasingly engineered for the realities of African roads, incomes, and maintenance conditions. For years, critics dismissed Chinese cars as low quality or unsafe, but that narrative is rapidly fraying. Today's Chinese vehicles are built under some of the world's most competitive manufacturing standards, packed with modern safety features, and tested at scale across massive domestic and export markets. Price still matters, yes, But so do durability, safety ratings, ease of repair, and the steady availability of spare parts, all areas where Chinese automakers have made aggressive improvements. This introduces healthy competition that could force other global suppliers to rethink how they price and package vehicles for African consumers. Moreover, Ghana's EV push aligns neatly with its broader industrialization strategy and its ambition to reposition itself as a manufacturing hub in West Africa. Transport remains a major source of emissions in urban centers, and policymakers see electric mobility as a way to reduce fuel imports, cut emissions, and build local industrial capacity simultaneously. The government appears to be betting that they can. Incentives such as reduced import duties on EVs are already in place, and regulatory frameworks are being explored to support charging infrastructure, after-sales services, and even two- and three-wheeler electric transport. Officials are also reviewing the Ghana automotive development policy to formally accommodate electric vehicles, signaling that this is not a one-off deal but a long-term shift. If executed well, EV assembly could create jobs, stimulate technology transfer, and anchor a domestic automotive ecosystem that spills over into batteries, components, software, and maintenance. For ordinary Ghanaians, the implications are potentially transformative. Local assembly could make vehicles more affordable, reduce dependence on imports, and open up new skills pipelines for young engineers and technicians. It could also reposition Ghana as a reference point for electric mobility in West Africa, attracting further investment as neighboring countries look for regional suppliers. But skeptics will ask hard questions. Who really controls the technology? How much value stays in Ghana? And will local firms be empowered or sidelined? Still, in a continent often accused of missing industrial revolutions as they happen, Ghana's move deserves recognition. By engaging China strategically rather than passively importing vehicles, Ghana is signaling that Africa does not have to remain a dumping ground for finished products. Other African countries would do well to study this model, adapt it to their realities, and negotiate boldly. The EV future is coming, whether Africa is ready or not. The real question is this: will the rest of the continent follow Ghana's lead or watch another industrial wave pass it by? Your perspective matters. What do you make of Ghana's deal with two Chinese EV giants to build local vehicle assembly plants? Share your thoughts and insights in the comments section below. If you like this video, be sure to subscribe to the New Africa channel and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our informative future videos. Stay informed, stay engaged, and thank you for watching.